The tape never lies. Ohio State safety Caleb Downs is an impact player, but size will be his biggest concern.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Cade Sanchez. He's the director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with the LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Guys, it's a fun one. It's Watch the Tape Wednesday. We're going to talk about some big name prospects at the top of this show. Caleb Downs played a game against Michigan, but they finally knocked Michigan off after going 0-4 in the last 4 years. They finally got that dub over Michigan. We're going to get into Cade Klubnik versus South Carolina. What did he do well? Where did he struggle? And then Roman Hemby, off the beaten path, under the radar running back that you might want to keep an eye on late in the draft come 2026. But before we get into that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets to use across the app. Caleb Downs, Keith, young man has been the top defensive player in the draft for most of the season, up until the ascension, the climb of Arvell Reese, listed at 6 foot 205. I don't really believe that. I think he's 5'11. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think it's more like 5'10, 5'11. But watching this game against Michigan, it ended up being a snowy game on the road, and the defense set the tone pretty well in this game, right? Julian Sand threw an interception that if Michigan scores a touchdown, it puts Ohio State's offense in a little bit of a conundrum. But Caleb Downs and that defense, they tighten their chin straps and they play a good ball. One thing I really appreciate with him, Keith, is the quickly diagnosing the run versus pass post snap. Like, he does a really good job of that. In this game, as always, he's lined up all over the formation. You see him at free safety, strong, nickel, overhang, I think they had at one point they had three safeties in, and I think he was playing linebacker. Like, he just kind of played like almost in that kind of star role that we see in the NFL, just playing all over the defensive secondary. You see that with him playing man coverage out of the slot. There were some reps where he locked up, I think it was either a big slot receiver or a tight end, especially in the low red zone, just jammed them, locked them down, and everything like that. Ran the alley as a run defender, made contact with the running back. Was able to kind of undercut him, take him to the ground. Assignment sounding coverage, man. He's a defense, to me, he's a defensive coordinator's dream as a defensive back, because of the fact that he's rarely out of place. He's where the football is and where he's supposed to be. He also gets everybody lined up. He's like the quarterback of that secondary, getting all the communication that calls in. But then when you do target him, like, he's viable to take the ball away. He's done it throughout his career, whether it's at Alabama or at Ohio State. He can take the ball away. I think thing for me is going to be size. Size is going to be a big thing, because I saw it in this game when Michigan ran the ball. Blockers got up to him; they can seal him off pretty easily. They can wall him off, they can seal him off, and then I think tackling running backs in the NFL, depending on where you get drafted, right? Like, if you get drafted to the AFC North, brother, it's going to be 20 degrees in December, just like it was in Michigan. And you're going to have to deal with Derrick Henry coming downhill if you're not playing for the Baltimore Ravens, right? Like, if you are a Cleveland Brown, you got to deal with him. And, Chase Brown, or whoever's running the rock, Jalen Warren or Caleb Johnson, whoever in Pittsburgh, you're going to have to deal with that. I do think that will be that's going to be a big concern for me, handling that type of an assignment. But in coverage, he's sound, man.
Yeah, I thought the Michigan game, DP, showed his ability to potentially play on all three levels, right? Because I think he got some good reps playing the deep safety, right? Like, if they win a split safety look, he was deep, and it always gets highlighted that he plays close to the box, right? The linebacker type situation. But because of the size, conversation you just talked about, right? Like, okay, if he's 208 pounds and 5'11 and a quarter, right? Is that a guy that you want consistently in the box? And I think of a player like Xavier McKinney, who at Alabama, he basically played linebacker, right? Like this guy was a hair on fire, fly around, knock you out type of linebacker, right? But since his transition from the New York Giants, where he was drafted, to the Green Bay Packers, he's been one of the best ball hawking safeties that we have in the NFL. So I think what Caleb Downs showed in the Michigan game, like, hey, like check me out in this big time game. And he's done it before, right? But in this big prime time games that I could line up at the deep safety too, right? Like if you want to go single high, I can be the single high safety.
Yeah.
Look, I could line up on either one of these hashes and be able to rock and roll. And then the other part too that you talked about alignment wise was his ability to line up, just kind of like flat out play nickel, right? And just play right over the slot, or even if they went a 3 wide receiver set, he lined up over the number 2, right? Not even just the number 3, but the number 2. And so he showed that he can play kind of away from the football more. Like I could play more in pass coverage. Now he is a guy that I would probably want in probably zone more than man still. Not saying that I don't think he can play man. I just think that that's somewhat of a question mark for me from the nickel position, right? Like playing that nickel, playing press man, being able to turn and run, loose
He's
hips.
more hook curl he's more of a hook curl defender.
Yeah, 100%. So I would want him probably more in the zone defense. So you look at even NFL teams like Dallas Cowboys, right, with Matt Eberflus that play a lot of zones, something like that. But the Michigan game was impressive, man. He flew around, he made plays, pass deflection. I think on a pass deflection, he had the trigger from deep, I believe. He was lined up deep and had to break on the football and kind of collided with the wide receiver and put his hand up to knock the ball out. So just an impressive young man. And then evaluating prospects, right? So sometimes the best prospects are the prospects you know exactly what you're getting. We swing for a ceiling so much and what he could be, but that's still a gamble, right? Sometimes I want to draft a guy that I know exactly what I'm getting out of him, and that's what Caleb.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, just with the cover, I think that's where his game is. That's the best part of his game is playing coverage. Like I said, he does he line up in the box? Does he play? Does he blitz? He had a rep against one of the backup running back because the starter Marshall got dinged up. They brought another kid off the bench and they blitzed Caleb and he ran straight through his face and got pressure on Bryce Underwood, caused the errant throw, like a high throw, because he couldn't step up. He felt that pressure. He rushed his process. And it's just one of those opportunities, like stuff like that I'm good with. And I think like even in coverage with his ability to play both safety spots, like he allows you, like I said, like because especially playing in this Matt Patricia NFL designed and styled defense, his knowledge of all these different positions and coverages and how to communicate and knowing, hey, his route recognition is really good. So like you talking about coming out in too high, being able to disguise looks. I love that he gives you that aspect. Every safety can't do that, even if they can play at the top of the defense. Every safety isn't patient enough to run and be, hey, we're gonna come out in too high shell, but you're the robber. We're gonna rotate down in the cover one. You're gonna rotate down. We're gonna rotate back in the cover one. You're rotating down in the middle of the field and take things away. And everybody can't do that, Keith. And I look at Caleb Downs. You see that instincts to you. I think to the play you were talking about. It might have been the one where it was like a dagger concept or in cut to one of the big receivers, the tight ends, and you see him at the top. He's playing it. He reads it. He's very patient and deliberate in his process. And you see him trigger downhill, make the play. I was like, if he was there maybe a half a second or a second sooner, it might have been an interception. Like he would have got there fast enough, but still he was shot out of a cannon to be able to make that play, blow it up, and cause the PBU. That ability to disguise coverages and rotate into whatever you need to post-snap. You know how much I talk about changing the picture for quarterbacks, which we'll get into that in the next topic with Cade Klubnik. Like being able to show a quarterback something, them settle on it, and especially the ones who are super, hey, this is what they show me. I believe, like I go back to that, was that 2013? That Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl, where Peyton looked like he did not look like himself. The Legion of Boom had him rattled. one thing, the biggest thing I remember from that game, I was like, Peyton, I watched Peyton in that game, and it felt like he was expecting them to shift post snap. Like, it was like, there's no way they're running cover 3 every single play. There's no way they're going to sit in this. And Seattle said, no, we're sitting in it. And he's expecting something. He's throwing passes. He gets Julian Thomas blown up by, I think, Cam Chancellor, because he doesn't think that Cam's going to keep rotating down. I was like, no, this is our base, Peyton. We're not getting out of that. Quarterbacks that do get into that mindset a little bit, like Caleb Downs, one of those guys that you start rotating stuff, changing the picture, you can really throw some quarterbacks off kilter.
Yep, I agree 100%. DP, you hinted at it already, man. You said we're going to talk rolling coverages from a quarterback perspective. That's because we're about to talk about Clemson quarterback Cade Klubnik, that week 13, 14 performance.
14.
Week 14 performance against South Carolina rivalry game. We're going to watch the tape and let you know exactly what did we take away. What were the biggest takeaways from this performance by Cade Klubnik? Talk about that coming up next.
The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap, it's a way to share memories. Because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before getting it. So when they plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup, no headaches, just instant smiles. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using the promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code LOCKEDON. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Cade Klubnik, what did the tape? The tape doesn't lie, guys. I always say that. The tape never lies. Cade Klubnik had a solid game overall statistically versus South Carolina, the in-state rivals. He was 24 of 39, 61.5 completion percentage, 268 yards passing, 0 passing touchdowns. He did have an interception in this game. And the good things I saw on film for him, Keith, when he's in rhythm, it looks good. I think that's probably a very underrated. It sounds like just a basic thing to say, but a lot of people don't really take into account sometimes. Like, man, what does it look like when quarterbacks are actually in rhythm? Like, when a guy is in rhythm, what does it look like? It looks good. Like, he made some good anticipatory throws, especially early in this game where he's getting the ball out. And when the first read is open, like, he's there. And I think he's going to be good in the NFL if you can get that type of connection going early. He throws a very catchable pass too. Good touch and air underneath for the most part. And then that connection with Antonio Williams. That's the guy. Like, when you talk about having a anticipating the route break and different things like that. Like, yeah, he does it. When Antonio Williams, he does that very well. Like, he understands what to do, things of that nature. And I appreciate that with his game, especially on the variety of routes that Antonio Williams runs, whether it's option route, those choice routes, the outbreakers, inbreakers, post routes, double moves. Him and Cade have such a connection. I wish Antonio Williams didn't get hurt week 1 so we could have seen that connection all season long. And then one thing I noted in my notes for his report that I have to work on soon, he's best off of play action and RPOs. If you give him a good run game, which and Adam Randall has been able to do over the last month or so, like, for a guy switching from receiver to running back, he's done a good job of that. Give him a run game, play action. Now his eyes are on the linebackers. He's watching defenders take false steps, and now I can lay the ball over the top of you. I can see where the vulnerabilities are. But Keith, as I stated, the changing of pitchers, he still struggles with that. Like, South Carolina got him a couple times in this game early where he had a touchdown actually to Antonio Williams. And it's just like he thought the first receiver, I think it was TJ Moore, he thought it was a slant. He thought it was going to be open. I think they dropped off, either an edge rusher or a linebacker jumped into his vision, and you could tell he wasn't expecting it. So he held the ball, while if he got off that read and went to Antonio Williams on the crosser, he's wide open for a touchdown in the end zone. He sees it late. He overthrows him. The ball is not even in play. like it went out of bounds and things like that. So inconsistency, still reading defenses post snap, and stuff like not looking confused, and then locking onto that first read is a problem. Like he's got to start coming off of that quicker. And for a guy this is his third full year as a starter, yeah, like that's just a tough pill to swallow when you're looking at a guy who started 3 years in college. I think the company's always going to be there for me is Bo Nix, and I think he's going to need a Bo Nix type of situation to succeed in the NFL.
Yeah, the comp with Bo Nix to me makes sense from a perspective of in structure looks great, out of structure tons of question marks, right? And I think that's what this game was for Cade Klubnik. I think opening play, right? It was some type of switch release wheel route, might have been, right? And he hit the opening play, and it was like, okay, that's a good ball, right? Then there was a couple, like you say, in breakers, and he hit them, right? And it's like, okay, this looks pretty good. But then there were situations not only changing coverages, but I thought there was the interception to our guy,
Jalen Kilgore.
Yeah, to Kilgore, he left the ball short, right? Like you put that on the back corner pylon, that's a touchdown without a doubt. But you leave it short. You give.
Would you say he was late on that throw? Do you think he should have gotten it out earlier, or he just put too much air underneath? Like
I think it was both. I think, but the problem was once he was late, he still had opportunity to drive it. Right, Facts. You kind of get what I'm saying. I think he initially was late, but then he had opportunity to put it on the back pylon, and he'd have been okay because his wide receiver was still on top of the defensive back by like 2 yards. Right, the only way the defensive back makes a play on that football is if you leave it short. If you put that thing anywhere in front of him, it's a touchdown. So I watched it and I thought, man, you talked about the inner structure, outer structure thing. I was like, this is a guy I would probably still want to draft, right? Whether that be maybe late second, third round, potentially, right? And then stash him, right? Stash him and put him in a scheme to where it's 1, 2, 3, right? Like you're doing exactly this. And if that's not there, get the football out. I thought about a team like the Minnesota Vikings, but
that's crazy. I thought the same exact thing.
Yeah, but I also thought too, would this be a repeat of the JJ McCarthy situation, right? Like you have two young guys, but I think he would I think he would be good in that situation, and also JJ is a good athlete, but is Cade a better one, right? The way you can implement his legs even more. So just thought about a couple different situations. The Clemson game, obviously. Last game, I can't remember if Clemson is bowl eligible or not, right?
Yeah, they're 7-5, so they have
so you go to a bowl game. It's not probably how you wanted to end off your regular season collegiate career, but do you go to the bowl game, play well, get some things done, and make some plays? So, with Cade, unfortunately, this is close to almost near the end of his senior year resume, right? And there are concerns, and I think that how he comps, in my opinion, to Jalen Milroe is that you've seen highs and you've seen lows. These both are straight line athletes, but I think if you put them in situations, they can be successful.
Yeah, I thought, leading up to this show when I was doing my notes, I said, man, a team and scheme fit would be the Minnesota Vikings, right? They have, like, offensively, they have TJ Hawkinson at tight end, Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor is like a wide receiver 3-4. Jet as a bona fide wide receiver 1. The old line is solid. You got one of the best young play callers in the league in Kevin O'Connell. And I think to be completely honest, and me and you got on this show when JJ McCarthy's coming out, hey guys, watch the tape. He's actually better than what the consensus believe that's him as a prospect. The thing is, he hasn't had a lot of time on task, and he hasn't developed what we talked about, the extra pitches. Or if you want to use golf analogy, he doesn't. Only club he has is a driver. He doesn't have anything else. He throws fastballs and fastballs only. And JJ McCarthy came out like, yeah, I have to be rewired to play quarterback the right way based off of his coaching. But I even go back to, remember Michigan played TCU in the playoffs a couple years ago. And Michigan came into that game like, we're going to run the ball, because remember we came on this pause like, hey, Harbaugh, like even when you play bad teams, let JJ get the passing reps so he can get comfortable before you get in a situation where he got to get comfortable, right? And they had to get in that TCU game. They stopped the run after the first drive, and JJ McCarthy had to throw the ball a lot in that game, and he eventually found his rhythm and everything. They lost close and late, but still. I feel like Michigan did him a disservice by not letting him throw the ball. so that he can develop some type of like change up or slider. Like he just throws hard all the time and everything. But for me, with Cade is the fact that Cade knows how to throw the ball. Like he's comfortable throwing the ball. And he's comfortable throwing the ball with touch. He can put RPMs on it when he needs to, but he knows how to layer it. That's something that J.J. McCarthy struggled with, even in college, is layering the ball. And in the NFL, you got to have that ability, or you're going to put yourself in positions where you're not going to be able to complete basic passes because everything can't be 90 miles per hour. You got to be able to pull the string, take some steam off of it. I think putting Cade in that situation, especially because it's like, right, we don't even know what's going to happen with that J.J. McCarthy situation. You know what I mean? Like, and if I'll throw another team out there, and the fans might like it, they might not. The Atlanta Falcons. When it comes down to Michael Penix, he tore another ACL, had another ACL injury after he already tore both his ACLs, I think, in college at Indiana. So it's a third ACL injury that you have to, get repaired and everything else. He's out for the season. And even then, he's also another guy similar to J.J. McCarthy, who mechanically, he's still the same dude he was at Indiana. His base isn't loaded. He's not stepping into throws. It's all upper body and turning. And it's messing with his accuracy. Like, and he throws a lot of fastballs too. So, yeah, whether you bring back Kirk Cousins and let him get the start, or maybe you draft a young guy and say, hey, Michael, we love you, but the injury is a concern. And guess what? You also hadn't played great. We lost some games because of you. We got to bring in some competition.
Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons too, DP, and maybe we should have a show, right, talking about a couple of these teams. Maybe we go through all the teams, right, and kind of talk about them and outline different things. They should be a sneaky spot to look for a quarterback because you don't know if all of these things are going to unfold, meaning that is the potential head coach out, is the potential general manager out, and if so, nobody's married to Michael Penix, right? So then they're going to want their guy. So you definitely have to look at that situation and be like, hey, how does this thing unfold as far as, 2026 NFL drafting a quarterback, and then how high will they draft a quarterback? DP, let's do this, man. The talk of Indiana, right, has been Fernando Mendoza, right? The QB1 slated by a lot of NFL draft analysts. But we're going to talk about running back. Running back Roman Hemby, right, had an explosive game this past weekend against in-state rival, right? Purdue's in Indiana, Indiana's in Indiana, right? So Roman Hemby, we're going to talk about Roman Hemby coming up next.
NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment is at your disposal. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips with a turnover. And FanDuel lets you jump into the moment live with spreads and player props. Guys, you can even bet right now on the 2026 NFL Draft. Like, who would be the number one overall pick? Not just to Arvell Reese, but you can even go down to if you believe Arch Manning will declare and be number one overall, you can bet on him as well. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers, and thank you for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in America, all because of you guys. Roman Hemby, Keith hinted at it. He told you about it. 6 foot, 210 pounds, spent 4 years at the University of Maryland, stayed in the Big Ten, and transferred this year to Indiana. And he's coming off a big game against Purdue on the road. 12 carries, 152 yards, almost 13 yards per attempt, and a rushing touchdown. And Roman Hemby, I like what I've seen from him this year, Keith. Like, they have a two-headed monster with him, and I think it's Kalen Black, who reminds me a lot of Kyle Monangai, who's balling out right now for the Chicago Bears with DeAndre Swift. And with Roman, like, he's got that NFL build. And I'm going to throw out a name right away that he reminds me of watching him, Keith. He reminds me of Rico Dowdle, who's with the Carolina Panthers, who was with the Dallas Cowboys last year. things of that nature. Just tough, physical, gritty run, downhill runner. Good contact balance from Hemby. And what kind of caught me off guard, he has enough burst on zone runs to win the perimeter, to get to the outside. He had a couple runs that he hit the outside, and I was like, is he gonna get caught? Oh no, he turned the corner, he got up the sideline, Keith. Even one he took to the house for a long run.
It was like 80 plus yards.
Yeah, 82 yards. 82 yards in this game. He had 3 or 4 runs over 10, but he's also a guy that he will lower his pads, he'll fall forward and get what's blocked, right? If it's 3-4 yards, he'll get those 3-4 yards and everything. And I like how he hits the run lanes with purpose and quickness. And like I said, on that 82-yard run out, that was the run. Once he broke it, I was like, all right, I see DBs chasing him. I'm like, is he going to get walked down? Mm-hmm. And no, he kept that stride and he scored. He kept that distance between them. I like what I've seen from him, Keith. What did you see from Roman Hemby on the good side of things that makes him an NFL draftable prospect?
Yeah, I think in today's NFL offense, right, with a lot of people running out of shotgun, he looked like a one cut back, right? Like he looked like he had good vision, in my opinion, especially in this Purdue game. And I think he's a prototype split flow type of back, right? If you're gonna have that tight end cross his face, kind of cut off the front side or back side, however you want to look at it, and then he can make one cut and get vertical into a seam. I was impressed with his acceleration and open field explosiveness. That I think that's his game, right? Like give him a cut, give him a crease, and let him kind of jam that thing up in there for 10-15 yards, right? And if he catches the defense lacking, right, you get a linebacker that doesn't fill properly, a safety that's late to filling or misreads it, over jumps a gap, then now he's kind of 50 and out the gate, right? Like it's a foot race to the end zone. And I think that's what you're seeing against the game against Purdue. So I like him. The one thing I want to see from Hemby, especially in this game, is if he got involved more in the passing game, right? Just because with his frame, to me, he looks 200-ish pounds. I didn't get 225, 230, anything like that, right? Like 200.
He's listed like 210. That's what they
and I think he looked probably closer to 200, right? And so a back like that, wanting to get him more involved in the passing game, because if you do have that open field acceleration, I want to put you in open field, right? Like get you on a swing pass, a bubble screen, things like that, to allow you to accelerate quickly, past defenders, past blockers, taking on your wide receivers, blocking on the perimeter, and you blowing past defenders. So I would want to see that.
Yeah, I agree with it. And I think also I want to see him just be a little bit better in pass pro. He got there was a flag call for horse collar on Mendoza when he got sacked, but Purdue ran a simulated pressure, and Hemby jumped into the B gap and let the edge rusher free instead of standing and taking on the edge rusher or whatnot, whatever the case may be, because the tackle and guard communicated they closed the interior gaps. They left the edge rusher one-on-one for Hemby, and Hemby jumped inside with them, and that guy was just free in the face of Mendoza. You want to see him just kind of improve just the IQ in that situation, understanding, hey, scan and identify. I know you always like to say, Keith, we like at LSU, y'all would have big on big, small on small. Yeah. And I was kind of looking at that situation. I was like, yeah, you gotta, because I think they blitzed the inside backer. It clearly was a miscommunication between the O-line and because DP, I would have been looking at my O-line like, bro, you 6'6", 300. How you gonna leave me the big guy, right? Like, why you want to leave me the big guy? They definitely left him out there with the edge rusher. They jumped inside, took the linebackers away. The edge rusher ran scot-free at Mendoza and got a horse collar. I would like to see him just kind of like scan, make sure nobody's coming off the edge, and then step up. He as soon as he stepped up, you could see it. His head turns like, dang, I left you hanging or whatever. But I think even with the Rico Dowdle comp, he's the zone version of Rico Dowdle, because Rico Dowdle's not good on zone. Rico Dowdle is only good on gap. He's a power guy. He doesn't neither one, watching Hemby, he doesn't have a lot of wiggle to him. Like he's one cut, but he doesn't make you miss a lot. So it's the same thing with Dowdle, but Dowdle can't he can't do the one cut stuff. He's really stiff-hipped. So it's like downhill gap scheme. I'm going to run through your face. With Hemby, he runs with power, but he gives you that zone concept, that split flow, one cut, stab and go type of stuff. But I want to see him like, hey, do you have any wiggle? Can you make guys miss at least once? Because and with Keith, we know we watch a lot of NFL games and tape. Sometimes the blocking scheme is going to be able to get everybody else blocked, but that one guy that you got to make miss. And if you can't make a miss, that's what takes you from being RB2 to RB2-3 to if you can make that guy miss and create that big play, then you could be a potential RB1 type of guy. You got to be able to make somebody miss on your own. And he doesn't really offer that a lot, but he is physical. Like I said, we got to see what he weighs, but definitely underrated back that, again, teams that don't value the running back position, he's a back that they were absolutely, especially the West Coast offense. Heck, he's a San Francisco 49er through and through. Like he's a Kyle Shanahan type of back. Run that wide zone, follow your blocks. He knows how to find daylight. We're going to get you open. Just hit the lane when it gets open.
Yep, I agree with DP. That wraps up another episode, a Watch the Tape episode, man. We went through Caleb Downs, Cade Klubnik, and Roman Hemby. That wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast all by saying shout out to our everydays. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at the Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all gonna talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On tomorrow's show, I got the perfect pairing. I said it on Monday, guys. Lenore Sellers, if he were to enter the 2026 NFL Draft, I got just a place for him where he can sit, learn, and get better. We're going to talk about that on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.